What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Unqualified Critics. So it's been a little bit of a slow news month on the arcade front, although we do have some news. If you're watching this on July 17th, I'd invite you to join us at 4:15 p.m. Eastern today, where we're premiering a video with some pretty significant news from iArcade. So if you have any interest in iArcade at all, check that out. Recommend it. As I mentioned, we're really between releases on cabinets. So we've seen Burger Time this year. NBA Jam was really the big news story, but of course, most of this new stuff is going to come in the holiday, and we continue to wait and see what At Games is going to pull out of their hat. So in the meantime, leave it to the modding community to do some pretty cool stuff with filling that gap while people wait on new products, give people ideas if they're interested in modding. You guys know my take. I think most modded cabinets, they just look a little messy to me. That just aren't that interesting to me personally, although I get it. It's a hobby in and of itself. But every now and then there's a mod that I think is really awesome that probably ought to be inspirational for what kind of product Arcade1up should build themselves. And the example here of Off-Road is, I think, in that category. It looks really good. I love the color blocking they did on the kick plate. The big news here is that there's actually room for 3 steering wheels. These aren't huge steering wheels, but they're not tiny either, and they do fit on a standard 4-player Arcade1up cabinet. I believe the original donor cab here was a TMNT. And by the way, I love the graphics on the riser. This thing looks pretty sweet. Now, as far as shortcomings go, these are not 360-degree steering wheels. So if you're going to play off-road legit, you've got to get 360-degree wheels. Buying specialized hardware like that's expensive. I totally get it. And that's where if we get an official product, someone like Arcade1up can source those in bulk and give us a pretty reasonable price. Now, something like this, I'm sure we're looking at $500, but I would pay $500 for a 3-player off-road cab for sure. Now, here's where things fall apart a little bit, and it's the pedals. And I don't mean to make fun of this either. I mean, this is a really good looking project. If you go through and check out the side panel graphics, everything this looks really good. This guy did a great job. Looks like he threw in some LED strips behind the cabinet, so that seems to be catching on. People are getting into that, and Arcade1up started that trend, so credit to them. And I think the steering wheels at this size, they're not really in the way when you're playing since you're looking down. You probably want them a little smaller or a little lower, but this is pretty good for placement. So as far as the pedals go, clearly, if we get an official cabinet like this, there's going to have to be some kind of custom structure to house 3 sets of pedals. There just isn't a lot of room. Maybe something that slides under the riser, like a plate, and then that'll hold everything in place. And then in front of the riser, you get your 3 set of pedals with predetermined positions. Something like this, these are just going to slide around. It's a rat's nest of cables. This is no good. Maybe they would integrate the gas and brake controls up top. Not ideal, but would lower cost, would make it easier to build something like this. So point is, if they're going to do a real product, I think there's a lot to learn from a cabinet like this. I think this is a good proof of concept. I don't see a photo here of 3 people playing this, but this looks reasonable to me. I think 3 people could easily fit. I mean, I've fit 3 people on this spread before myself with NBA Jam, so that shouldn't be any problem. So it looks like an interesting cabinet, looks like an interesting mod. Check out the Arcade1up subreddit if you want to know more about it. It's user KEILYKJ who put this together, so all credit to that individual. And thanks for watching. Again, check us out at 4:15 when we break some news on iArcade and a certain special edition something that they're bringing to the table. So check that out. I'll talk to you guys very soon. Take care.